Now. Okay, this is the first webinar on the best practice for the creation of the integrated hub. And this is an activity which is done thanks to the ISTEN project, which is an Adrian, Inter-Adrian project. The project involved 10 partners from 7 countries, and we are working all together in order to develop an integrated and sustainable transport in an efficient network. More in particular, we are working on the transnational local activities and transnational activities at the same time. Thanks to the development of the local context analysis, we are now developing also the macro analysis at the Adrian level. The project is a 24-month project which obtained an extension of 6 further months, and the end of the project is dated at the end of May 2020. The lead partner is the University, Mediterranean University of Reggio Calabria from Italy. The main objectives of this project are to qualify the Adrian ports as hubs for and gateways for the Adrian region, thanks to the joint action plan, to the development of joint action plans in order to improve the connections to the interland, and in order to also push rail freight flows to the 10 corridors. This is done thanks to the promotion and very good knowledge transfer between ports and intermodal terminals. This is the map of the partners, and the lead partner is located in Calabria region. As you can see, there are further 9 partners, of which 2 are research institutions, 5 port authorities, and 1 regional administration, and the Chamber of Commerce in Serbia. We have also 5 associated partners which are interested to the objectives and to the achievement of the project, which are Interporto Bologna, Emilia-Romagna region, Southeast European Transport Observatory, the University of Belgrade, and Dures Port Authority in Albania. I want to introduce you the speakers of this webinar. The speakers, which I thanks for your cooperation and for your ability to present your experience. The first presentation is done by Gabor Spellenberg and Zoltan Fabian from the MAHART Container Center in Budapest, and they will explain the experience of the MAHART Container Center and the relationships that this node has with the main seaport. And the same will be done from Interporto Padova by Andrea Ballarin, which shows you which are the main activities and main relationships of Interporto Padova. So I don't want to steal you more time. The rules of the webinars are about 15 to 20 minutes per presentation. At the end of each presentation, it is possible to make some questions. So if you have any question, you can use your button to raise your hands, and we will make just after the presentation. So just one moment to leave the floor to Gabor. Gabor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, please share your screen. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, can you see now the screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, okay. Hello everyone. So let me introduce you Zoltan Fabian and Gabor Spellenberg from MAHART Container Center.
Good afternoon to everybody.
And it's our pleasure to show you our terminal, our connections, bottlenecks, and we will welcome all your questions. So we are located in Budapest, and we are located in actually 4 10T corridors. The first one is number 4, which is from Northwest Europe to southeast. The other one is from Spain, the number 5 from Spain to Ukraine. We are part of 10B, and of course the 4th one is Danube. You can see that the terminal is located at the Danube. So this is the let's say sole trimodal terminal in Hungary. There are a big logistics center which is called Budapest Logistics Center, Budapest Freeport Logistics Center, and MAHART Container Center is 11 hectares, so 11,000 square meter big area when you have the container transshipment, container and other intermodal unit transshipments. There is a marshalling station, which is Budapest Ferencváros. This is 2.5 kilometers away from the site. The M0 motorway, which connects to all other motorways in Hungary, is around 7 kilometers. The airport is 12 kilometers, and we are very close to the city center. Actually, not more than 6 kilometers from the city center. The Budapest Freeport is the tariff point for the railways, and there is a private marshalling yard with 8 shunting equipment, and you will see that this is one of the bottlenecks that from the marshalling yard we have to go to the loading tracks. And then this is one more additional equity or company who is interfering in this business. Altogether, the Freeport has 25.2 kilometers. You can see the big size of this Freeport, and there are 3 diesel locos who serve the inland shunting activities in the terminal. There is availability of 24/7, so all the time we are open and the shunting services are open. The MAHART Container Center is actually the only private and neutral terminal operator in Hungary, because the ownership structure is Hungarian individuals. The total area is 11 hectares with storage capacity of around 7,000 TEUs, and annual theoretical handling capacity is 230,000 TEUs. I mean, theoretical means that if all the capacity is available, there is no train delays, there is no breakdown of the equipment, and so on. There are 2 long tracks, loading tracks, rail sidings of 690 meters. Actually, we can serve all our trains there without being taken apart. Plus, there are 300-meter long rail sidings, which are actually next to the Danube port, and these are used at the moment for semi-trailers handling. Here we have to take the train into 2 or even 3 parts. As mentioned, we are a trimodal terminal, so we have access to the Danube with 220-meter quay length, so we can accommodate barges up to or even more than 220 meters. There is 1 gantry crane serving actually the water part, plus the shorter rail sidings, and the longer tracks are served by 10 reach stackers. All of them are Kalmar types, and 6 are available for loaded containers, and 4 usually load the empty containers. We have 2 terminal tractors which are moving the semi-trailers from the parking area to the rail siding and backwards. The terminal is able to accommodate reefer containers. That's why we have 72 reefer plugs. And the container center can do all services related to containers, like repair of dry and reefer containers. We can handle hazardous, so ADR containers, customs clearance as well, plus customs examining area. We can load, unload stuff and strip the containers, and we are operated 7 days a week and 24 hours. Altogether, there are 65 employees in the terminal. You can see here the network of the terminal. There are ad hoc trains and there are scheduled trains. The main traffic is Trieste Budapest. We also have connections to Rijeka, and the other main traffic is, you can see there, Herne, Budapest. The Trieste and Rijeka traffics are mainly maritime containers, while the Herne are continental business, mainly semi-trailers. There are other services like from Budapest to Bremerhaven. This is dedicated train to Maersk shipping line, and the other Brno and the other services to China via Dobra are mainly ad hoc kind of. So you can see that there are the Budapest, Bremerhaven, Trieste, Koper, Rijeka, which are the maritime, and Herne, Wels, China. Of course, there are the continental businesses. We have barge service, mainly Constanța, Budapest. All the barge shipments are empty container relocation, and the other area where we ship empty containers are Austria, Vienna, Enns, and Linz. We have the reefer containers, hazardous containers, and of course we serve as depot for empty containers for shipping lines and also for other container owners. With this activity, we have the container examination, so we just let out containers which are in good condition or which are corresponding to the required conditions out of the gate. And there are some new activities. These are the flexi tanks and thermoliner, inliner fittings, stuffing, stripping services. Some more information about the services projects. The open train, this is the MCC Dobra, via Dobra to China and back. And the other is the EP logistic train, Koper Budapest. These are, you can see there are spot trains. While Kombi Verkehr, MCC Wels, and the TX Logistics MCC Herne, there are weekly scheduled trains, so 3 and 6 times per week. We have scheduled Rijeka Bremerhaven train and spot trains to Malasevice. This is again a Chinese business, plus Salzburg Linz. There are again empty container relocations. Next to the barge, we also serve rails there, and you can see that the big business is the MCC Trieste maritime business. Altogether, we served in 2018 335,000 TEUs, so not containers but TEUs, which means 200,000 container movements, over 2,000 trains. Out of them, 55% was loaded and 45 empty containers. You can see the development over the month on the right side chart. Actually, what we can also say is about the bottlenecks which were requested to talk about. As you can see, the location of the terminal is at the Danube, so there are, how shall I say, we can say limited area to an extensive growth. We have some plans to have more tracks on the site, but very limited space for that. That's why we try to increase our capacity via efficiency. That means that we have several projects ongoing which serve the administration and documentation to fasten, as well as automated information exchange, as well automated scanning of the containers and wagons which are arriving at the terminal, in order to quicken the turn time and in order to in this sense increase the capacity, because at the moment we are running almost 80–85% of the theoretical capacity, which is sometimes mean already over congested terminal. As far as bottlenecks are concerned, we can talk about the shunting activity from the marshalling yard, because the company serves the whole area of this Budapest Free Port, so MAHART Container Center is only one of the customers. So that's why when we order the trains, there might be some delays. And actually, that's what we wanted to say about the bottlenecks, and hope we have a constant growth of volumes. So actually, we grew 17% last year, and over 15% the previous year. And we hope that the volumes can increase, but for that we need to do these kind of de-bottlenecking exercises, especially on the processes and the information exchange. That's what we wanted to say shortly within this 12 minutes or 15 minutes, and any questions are welcome.
Thank you, Gabor. It is a very interesting presentation. I'm waiting for some questions from the audience. Actually, currently we have 21 participants, and it is possible to raise your hands or to send a private message to me. Yes, there is a question from Andrea Ballarin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Oh, thanks for the presentation. I have a question on the balancing on the connection that you have, especially in relation to the Northern Europe and Southern Europe ports. I got, you know, you benefit from a very strategic location for sure, and your and if I'm not wrong, this is an impression that I have, that I wanna. I'd like to know if it is correct and your view on this point. If I'm correct, you because also for because of this connection, you and because of your tight connection between both Northern Europe ports as well as Southern Europe ports, especially Koper and Trieste, if I'm not wrong, you have a you have a great benefit on respect of this location, because also of this possibility to be connected from Northern Europe and Southern Europe ports as well. I'm wondering if in the last years, I'm wondering if you grow mainly in the connection, thanks to the connection with the Southern Europe ports, or thanks to the connection of from the Northern Europe ports, and if you what about your vision on respect of this balancing for the near future? Thank you.
Okay, this is Zoltan Fabian. So I will answer for your question. Many thanks for that. Well, if we are speaking just about the maritime business, you are right. If I go back in time and if I see the traffic split or modal split between North European ports and South European ports in Hungary, that I would say that 10 years ago or 12 years ago, the 60% of Hungarian cargo went to North Sea ports. Majority was to Hamburg. While the remaining 35% was called Adriatic ports, mainly copper. Now, due to the financial crisis and the restructured traffic flows, now it's totally vice versa. Presently, the 75% of annual and total Hungarian containerized freight flow is going to Adriatic ports, to Trieste, Koper, and Rijeka, while the remaining freight flow is going mainly to Bremerhaven and then to Hamburg and Aarau ports. This is because due to the financial crisis, the whole supply chain is restructured, and the Hungarian cargo is going via Adriatic ports. They are much more closer than to Hungary than the North Sea ports. Certainly, mainly those containers are visiting the North Sea port, which are going to the American continent. So that's the present traffic split. There is a big competition between Trieste and Koper. This year is the first year when the Hungarian cargo flow in Koper port is not increasing but decreasing, while there is a two-digit increasing in Trieste port for the Hungarian cargo.
What about the future? How you see the future on respect on that?
Well, if we are talking just about the maritime business, we see that Rijeka port is more and more stronger. Every year they are stronger. So just an example, last year, the third or fourth quarter of last year, there were about 2 pair trains from Rijeka to Budapest. I mean, to all terminals in Budapest. Nowadays it's 7 trains every week. So you can see that the traffic, the Hungarian freight flow via Rijeka port is also growing. However, I have to underline that the Hungarian maritime traffic is growing 4 to 6% every year. So it's not a big boom presently, but it's a steady and continuous increasing of the traffic. I see that if I a little bit see globally the traffic, I see that the intra-European traffic is growing with a bigger percentage in Hungary and also on our terminal. So it's a two-digit increasing every year. And to say frankly, the intercontinental railway traffic, I mean the rail connection between Hungary and China, it's also, let's say, a black horse, a big question mark, because there are big potential in this business. There are many trials, many test trains, but presently there is no reliable and calculable service and significant traffic flow on rail between China and Hungary. So we don't know what future will will come and how this business will increase or decrease in Hungary.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you, Gabor. I think we can go to Andrea Ballarin, which will make a presentation about the Interporto Padova. Andrea.
Okay, we mute our microphone.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And Andrea, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Ballarin. I'm actually senior consultant for Interporto Padova, and I'm going to show you a little bit an overview of Interporto Padova, which is actually one of the main railroad terminal in northern part of Italy. This is just a very brief overview of what I'm going to say you, and especially in relation with the location and the activities and the key features of the Interporto Padova, as well as some of the main issues that somehow are characterizing the activities of this railroad terminal. First of all, yes, as you know, maybe know, the concept of Interporto, the word Interporto, probably was one of the main origin was related to the Italian point of view, the Italian, let's say, way of considering the intermodal activities. So this dates back to a very, let's say, ancient period, and that's why maybe we have in Italy some of the main railroad terminals as Padova and also Verona, for example. As I said, Padova was established in 1973, so we are close to 15 years of activities, and there are several shareholders, but the main shareholders are actually public shareholders, public companies like the municipality of Padova, the province of Padova, and the Chamber for Commerce of Padova. So let's say it's a territorial expression of the directly from the territory. So it's a public shareholders expressing the necessities of a specific territory. As you may know, Padova is in the northeast part of Italy, in the Veneto region, and we are in the middle, at the crossroad of two different European TEN-T corridors. I hope more or less all of you knows the issues of the TEN-T corridors. So actually, we are in the middle of the Baltic Adriatic corridor, which is actually the blue one in the screen, and the green one, which is partially let's say parallel and on the same line, which is the green one, and it's the Mediterranean one. We are in the middle of these two corridors, and at the same time we are also a core network corridor. So we are considered by the European Commission as one of the main dots, let's say, building up the TEN-T networks along the entire European Union. At the same time, we are very close. We are in a strategic position. We are in the, let's say, very close to the city center of Padova, which is one of the main city of Veneto region, and at the same time, we are also in the middle of one of the main industrial area of the entire North Italy. It's as you can see here from the very huge image, all this area is an industrial area of outside Padova city center. It's one of the main industrial area of let's say north part of Italy. In the, let's say, with the red dots, you can see the the area of Interporto Padova, managed by Interporto Padova, which is actually more or less 2 million of square meters of area, on which half, more or less 1 million, is of urban area dedicated to logistics dimensions. A lot of logistics warehouses, which is actually one of the main let's say activity of Interporto Padova, together with the intermodal activities, as far as we have more or less 350,000 square meters of intermodal terminals, active intermodal terminals. And yes, as far as Interporto Padova is also an operator, which is actually doing the handlings, moving trains, and also, let's say, doing all the different kind of logistics issues which are you are expecting from an intermodal hub like a railroad terminal. Interporto Padova has recently done some huge investments, also thanks to some CEF funding, some CEF opportunities. We recently reached 8 different tracks of 750 meters length. So we are perfectly in line with the standard European standards, and we implemented and enhanced the capacity of the entire terminal through to more or less 750,000 TEU capacity in total. And recently also, and I'm going to show you a little bit more in detail, we also acquired, installed 4 different Transnational, which are specific gantry rail mounted, which are actually performing within the Interporto Padova terminal. Some features, some let's say key data on the traffic dimension. I've seen the dimension of the traffics of also of the previous speakers, and I was also impressed. Also, this is a nice, let's say, picture, especially explaining the, let's say, the trend of the traffic dimension. As you can see, a very, let's say, interesting picture. We are more or less along 290,000 TEU in 2018, and we, let's say, apart from the crisis of 2009, then we raise up the traffic during this last 10 years. During 2018, we had more than 5,500 intermodal trains originated by the terminal, and more or less we have 2,000 trucks which are let's say served by the intermodal terminal every day. So it's more or less 600,000 trucks per year. This is an overview of the main, let's say, influence and traffic of Interporto Padova. Interporto Padova is mainly related to maritime traffic. It's an inland terminal, but it's really strictly related with especially with the ports of the Tyrrhenian ports, so Genova, La Spezia, Livorno, which are actually on the other side of Italy, but it is a very strong, let's say, dimension and connection that is an historic, let's say, connection with the hinterland through rail. The interesting issues is that in 2018, 43% of the entire freights transported in Interporto Padova were moved thanks to only by train, and which is actually a very, let's say, nice picture compared to the national average dimension. As you can see, there are a lot of let's say intermodal connection with the, let's say, with all Italy, as I said, especially with the western part, so western and southern part of Italy, but also directly with the other countries, with particular reference to Slovenia and Holland and also United Kingdom. Some other figures, as I said, Interport of Padova is not only doing intermodal activities, but it's also supporting a very huge variety of activities with more than 150 companies involved in the area of Interport of Padova. So Interport of Padova is also supporting the management of those kinds of companies with more than 3,000 employees working on the entire industrial area, let's say gravitating in Interport of Padova premises. There is, as I say, there were some recent developments, as I said, which were very, very, let's say, interesting. We were able to reach two different funding from INEA. INEA is the agency of the European Commission, which is expected to support the development of the TEN-T corridors and the TEN-T networks in Europe. And as you know, maybe you know that every year, almost every year, we have a call or at least one call supporting the development of those corridors. And in particular reference to the call of 2014 and 2015, we were able to reach and to, let's say, to gain some of these funds. And in particular, we were, let's say, successful with two different initiatives, one in 2014 and one in 2015. And we were able to invest more or less 25 million euro of let's say, in different activities, especially related to the installation of the gantry cranes, to the enlargement of the terminal, and into the, let's say, modernization and automatization of the terminal in general. This special initiative that we wanted to ask for funding with INEA were part of a wider vision, let's say, in which we were considering the necessity of doing some hard works, some hard infrastructures to be implemented, and we gave an answer to these issues through the funds that we achieved thanks to the CHEF 2014 action. And then the following, let's say, issues was represented by the necessity to upgrade also the let's say the ICT, let's say the ICT activities and availabilities within the terminal, and that was achieved thanks to the second European project financed by INEA, so in CHEF 2015. And of course, the idea is to further implement with further automatization of new of the gantry cranes and other issues that of course every year are going to be much more interesting and important to be in line with the market opportunities and requests. As I said, we were very proud of this, especially with the CHEF fundings, because I think it's the unique example in Europe that we're achieving two different co-financing by INEA 1 year and the following year. So in 2 years, two different CHEF funds. And at the same time, we were also selected as an example, let's say a best case, best example by INEA, the agency of the European Commission, which has recently published an interesting brochure which is available in the INEA website, in which they made some kind of sum up of the activities they have done in the last 5 years, and one of the best practice mentioned for the multimodal initiatives and multimodal project financed by INEA is exactly Interporto Padova. The other issue, the other dimension we are quite proud of is the environmental dimension of Interporto Padova, especially because of a couple of issues. The first one is related to the let's say low environmental impacts intervention. An interesting issue is that Interporto Padova has one of the not one of but the largest roof plant in Italy for photovoltaic production. It's more than 12 megawatt peak per year, and it's actually also a higher power than what they actually are consuming for the entire let's say functioning of the Interporto Padova and the other activities contained therein. The other issues that we recently, Interporto Padova recently, a couple of years ago, installed and realized an LNG station. So one of the first in Italy to serving the trucks which were already equipped with engine fueled by LNG. And the other most important things, especially considering the issue of ISTEN project, is the City Porto initiative. If we are considering the possibility to merge, let's say, different kind of necessity from the territory, so let's say long run distance transportation of freight, and final issues related to the last mile connection of freights to the final, let's say, users, final delivery, then Interporto Padova has made one of the most interesting, let's say, experience with the City Porto. City Porto is definitely a service that, together with the municipality of Padova and the province of Padova, were set up in order to deliver the last mail, so cover the last mail connection to the city center of Padova, and they were, let's say, somehow dealing with these issues by, let's say, supporting the or suggesting to the other operators to deliver the goods and the freight outside the city center into the premises of City Porto, which is of course part of Interporto, and then to let City Porto trucks, which are propelled with CNG or less low environmental impacts engines, are charged with all of this freight and then are transported to the city center. This is of course one of very interesting issues, especially because we have it's one of the best case and best practice that we are promoting along all over Europe. A lot of people experience. A lot of people are asking to understand better this experience, which is actually one of the the result of a very strong synergy between the different stakeholders of the territory, with in particular with the municipality of Padova and the other stakeholders interested. So at the same time, we have to consider that these are not activities that are somehow financed by the public, but there is an industrial plan, so there is an economic sustainability of the activities done by this initiative. So it's totally, let's say, autonomous from the economic point of view. And of course, the fact that Interporto Padova is close to the city center, more or less 10 kilometers from the city center, of course, it was a very interesting, let's say, issue that we had the possibility to use to develop this kind of initiative. Another issues related to this is that, as I said, a lot of stakeholders are asking to understand better this best practice of City Porto, but at the same time we are also working on the further enhancing of this initiative, as far as, of course, as I said, especially from the point of view of the ICT let's say development, it is necessary to work harder on these issues. In this purpose, recently we applied for another Horizon 2020 project, especially to let's say improve the let's say the software of City Porto and final delivery, very last mile delivery of City Porto, also through different kind of means of transport, like the bikes, specific bikes for the delivery of goods inside the city center and historical city center. These are some figures regarding the deliveries that City Porto was doing every year, and it's quite a nice, let's say, experience. And these are all the main, let's say, stakeholders applying for and using this service. So it's a very, let's say, interesting synergy that City Porto was able to perform. Last but not least, I take the opportunity to invite you, if you are interested, to come to Padova next year on March 2020. As far as Padova 2 years ago started Interporto Padova together with the International Fair of Padova, and of course with the support of the region, of the Veneto region and of the city of Padova, organized the first Green Logistics Expo, which is actually an expo dedicated to the green logistics in general. So a lot of definitely very interesting events and meetings, but also expositors from all over Europe and also outside Europe. And this 2020 will be the second edition. The first edition was very let's say successful, and so the second edition, as foreseen, is every 2 years, and so on 2020 we are going to have this additional of this new edition that you are of course so kindly invited to participate if you are interested. I think it's more or less everything that I wanted to say. If of course there are some questions or particular question marks, of course I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. It is very interesting presentation. If there are some questions, please raise your hand. I can activate your microphone. In the meantime, I would like to say thank you to all the speakers which made these two very interesting presentations, which are Zoltan Fabian and Gabor Spellenberg from the MAHART Container Center, and Andrea Ballarin from Interporto Padova. I would also remind you that the presentations and also the recording of this webinar will be available on the ISTEN website, which is the address is isten.adrioninterreg.eu. We will share this address with you via email. And in case of interest, you can also follow ISTEN through social networks or through the website. We have a LinkedIn group, Facebook and Twitter. So if you have any issue, please contact the communication manager, which are the Trieste Port Authority, with Alberto Cozzi and Anna Carabolante, which will give you an answer. I don't see any hand raised, so I think the presentations were excellent because everyone understood everything. So I say again, thank you to the speakers. Thanks for participating to this webinar, and we hope to have a second edition of this webinar with other presentation. Thank you, and have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.